Okay, welcome back to Heart Check. My name is Kanisha Simone, your host, and today I have another guest, my longtime friend, Shawn. Say what's up.
What's up, everybody? My name is Shawn.
And today we're going to be talking about divorce. We're going to touch this topic. I know it's a little touchy. I know that, people don't really want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it today. And hopefully we can get some healing out of it,
Hopefully.
I feel like it's a good, meaningful conversation that needs to be heard, so.
Yeah, relationships, divorce, failed relationships. Yeah, it's a big topic.
It is. So, let the people know, like, what you do, who you are, things like that.
So I do a couple of things. So obviously, my name is Shawn. Before, I was a trainer for, 11 years. I worked at multiple gyms, kind of did my way through that. And then, most recently, I work at a gym too, but that's more of my part-time thing. And I work at a solar company now, more of a full-time 9-to-5 type job. So work 2 jobs.
Yeah, that's cool. And, we met Shawn, me and my husband, because he trained us. Mm-hmm. I was big backed, and he unbigged my back. We were working out, and, I was actually, like, in the best shape of my life.
Did you say unbig your back?
Yeah, unbigged my back.
Okay,
my back was big. And then,
okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that.
But a lot of stuff that you taught me, I still, know how to do to this day. Mm-hmm. Like, whenever I gain too much weight or whenever I feel like I'm a little bit uncomfortable on how I look, I always just go back to the stuff that you kind of you gave us a little blueprint.
You lost a lot of weight.
I did.
In a short period of time.
I did. And then recently I had lost a lot of weight by mistake. So now I'm trying to
By mistake?
Yeah, not on purpose. I kind of changed my diet a bit, and then I started to lose weight from changing my diet. But it was
Was that what you were talking about the other day, where you said you need to fast?
But I was fasting more spiritual, but
Right.
some of the spiritual fasting made me lose weight. Mm-hmm. And then I changed my diet, and then I lost weight. But I was I'm not trying to lose weight in this way. So me and TJ got back to that blueprint, which you taught us, okay, I need to be doing muscle training and stuff and losing weight at the same time. So.
But TJ's not doing that.
He's not. But we getting back to it. We getting back to it. So
right.
We're gonna get back to it. But yeah, awesome trainer. He's the bomb, y'all. He's the bomb. Mm. But anyways, yeah, so let's just talk about a little bit. I don't want to say just starting with your divorce, but the beginning. When you first got married, how that felt, and then where it led to.
It was I had never really been in a relationship before. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that.
That was my first relationship.
Wow.
Big time. So it lasted for 6 years. So basically the start of it was I was working at a gym in North Carolina, and I was progressing my way through the gym industry and started out as a trainer. And then I think when I met her, I was an assistant manager at the time. She just kind of walked in, and we didn't really hit it off, but that's when Tinder was a thing.
Tinder?
Yeah, because the location thing, how it searches you.
Yeah.
So for me, I saw her one time. She came in with her mom. I'm like, oh, looks like she's in good shape, and that was pretty much all I thought of it. But apparently, what she told me is she saw me that day and went on Tinder, because I was in that location, and she was like, let me see if I can find him. And
that's smart.
Yeah, it was smart, but I wasn't actually looking for her at all. And then I think I swiped on her because obviously just swiping, you swipe and then it connects or whatever. Mm-hmm. You don't know that.
I don't know. I don't know anything about Tinder.
Yeah.
I've never used a dating app before.
I will never use it again, but
really?
I will have to say that is technically how I met her. Because she found me, and then eventually I swiped right on her, and then I'm like, why do you look so familiar? Not trying to be cheesy. I literally thought she looked familiar because in her picture she looked different. I'm like, okay, you look familiar. How do I know you? And she's like, oh, I think we met at the gym or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And so technically it was Tinder, but technically it was the gym too. So
she had a plan. She was a woman with a plan. She seen you and she made it happen.
Yeah, you girls know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And actually it was funny. She was the eager one. I'm not an eager person as far. I'm social, but I'm not gonna go up to you and start talking to you.
Yeah.
I did in the gym because I work there and it's comfortable. But that night she actually messaged me and she's like, hey, do you want to go to the bar? And it was like right there, and her house is there. And I'm like, yeah, cool, we'll go. Literally, and this is just who I am. You know, I'm a talker.
Yeah.
And so meet her that first night, and then it was at the bar. We had a couple of drinks, and we just walked around the bar and talked for 3 hours.
I could see you doing that.
100%.
100%.
Yeah, and that's because I like to get to know the person, but it was just really easy. And I guess sometimes now looking at it, like, you take easiness as a sense of, like, okay, this means something, like this could be a thing. And so because it was so easy to have a conversation, I'm like, well, I've never been in a relationship really before, and this is easy. We can talk, we can have fun. She was at State at that time, and you know I'm an NC State fan, die-hard NC State fan. And so that's kind of how we connected, because like I liked football. It was football season.
Right.
Yeah, and we connected, and then we just kept hanging out, and day by day. And then there was a part in the beginning where I didn't know if I wanted her to be the one or not. And I was just like, we're moving too fast, because it wasn't a relationship, but it was a situationship, they call it, or whatever.
Now, was this from like
This was in
high
college.
school or college?
This
Okay,
was
college. So what about high school? You didn't date in high school?
Sorry, I was sheltered
Oh,
in
okay.
high school. And then you go to college, and there's freedom. But you don't get your bad stuff out of the way in high school. I got my bad stuff out of the way in college. But I really didn't get bad stuff out of the way, because I met this one girl, and head over heels for this girl. Because, like, I love hard.
Yeah.
It's a very unfortunate thing. I kind of hate that I do it that way, but it's just like, with her, I put everything into it. And this college girl, I put everything into her. And then she didn't like me like that. And then she ended up going to another college. And so I got my heart broken there, which now it's not really heartbroken, because it wasn't ever really a thing. And so, but like, that was my first taste of relationship. But it wasn't a relationship, it was just a friendship that I wanted to be in a relationship with her, but she didn't want one with me. And so she moved, and like for so long I just tried to keep that alive, but it was never really a thing. And it's like, when I like somebody, and it's hard to get them out of my mind. So that was my first real taste of a relationship. And then my ex-wife rolled along, and then at this point, what am I, like 25 at that point?
From the first relationship,
Which was when I was like 19 or 20. So
it was a long wait period. So it's like, it seems as if like you didn't have much experience dating.
No,
in a sense,
at all.
That's why you like
just females in general.
Wow.
I could talk to them and like go on dating apps, and I can have those conversations, and then obviously you know what happens after that, and like never materializes into any sort of relationship.
Yeah.
But this one was just easier, because it's just like we just kept hanging out day by day by day by day.
Flowing.
And like, it was just so easy, and you're just like, well, this is awesome. Like, my job's doing good. I'm assistant manager, and I'm coaching, so I'm making good money. Now I'm talking to this girl, like, she's finishing school, and like, she's an NC State fan, and I'm an NC State fan, so we're going to state football games all the time. And so that's how all that started, and it was just, everything was just so easy, and it just flowed, and I'm like, well, this is natural, because my next position, I'm gonna be the general manager of this club, and I'm like, more money there, and then they take me from there, and then I go back to where I was, but I'm now the general manager of that club. And at that point, she was in the police academy, or getting into it.
Wow.
I was right there when it was really bad to be a police officer, and she was trying to be a police officer in Durham, North Carolina, which is basically Pine Hills in North Carolina. And you know, she's small, white, blonde girl, as a cop. That time was just really bad. Like,
it had to be terrible.
It was terrible. But she did it. She passed. She did 6 weeks on the streets and hated it, and then got out of it. And then after that, like, she kind of, I don't know how, but she came to the gym and started working with us. And so she was like, not my assistant, but kind of my assistant. So we were working together. And
okay, so You propose to her, you guys get married. Fast forward to like when the marriage started to like go downhill. Like, how were you feeling then? Like,
We would have got divorced eventually. She just wasn't. Now that I look back at it, I know we weren't meant to be. We were just two different people, and it got to the point where it felt like or everybody says it. You're married to someone that's just your roommate, basically. That's kind of what it felt like because we
like it was your. Do you feel like, I don't want to say it was more to your friend, but do you feel like during the marriage there was like a pivot? Like, did something change, something shift? Or was it always just like it was going good and then it slowly dwindled to not good?
So I don't know if I can pinpoint a time, but I remember after she told me, like when I came home from North Carolina, I walked in the door. She immediately told me, like, hey, I have some news I think we're going to have to get a divorce over. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what did you do? She's like, I cheated on you. And I'm like, damn. So I walked out the door. I didn't say anything. Not the right thing to do at all. But
I know that was tough though. A tough moment right there. You can't even jump past it. Like, that's a tough moment.
I got in my truck.
Yeah.
And I gunned it. And I just like, whatever happens, happens. And then I parked. For me, I'm like, I didn't see a situation where I was going to win. I felt like she was done. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I sat in my truck and I just started crying and yelling and screaming. And then she tried calling me. Her mom tried calling me. Everybody tried calling me. And I just said, screw you. Like this, I'm like, why would you do this?
Like, how did it get to that point? Because it's like...
But this is where I'm getting to my main thing.
Yeah.
That's when it happened. But my main point is I had to sit, because I'm this overthinker, and I hadn't been really thinking about anything, like, up to that point. I was just kind of living life, and everything's happy. I'm happy, holly jolly. Like, remember at Retro, or at the gym. I was just always this happy person, and then all of a sudden this happens, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, how do I fix it? Like... So I had to look back, and I remember every situation, everything she ever said to me, and I look back and I'm like, you know what?
Ooh.
I know what I did and how I wasn't present, how we weren't dating anymore. The effort was on her side. I felt like I stopped loving, and it just turned into like a daily habit. So we sat down and we talked, and I'm like, I know where I did wrong. I know that during the times during COVID where it's like your lunch break and it's my lunch break, and instead of sitting there and playing video games, let's go for a walk. Let's go have a coffee. Like, let's go date again. Let me plan dates for you. Let me be there for you. And like, I know I wasn't all there. I just put it all out there. And she's like, yeah, you weren't, but it's too late.
So you feel like as if you put a lot of that, the divorce, the reason for it ending on you.
100%.
Like,
not even gonna lie.
That you let her to cheat.
Because the action of cheating isn't that one action. There was so many times leading up to that point where she allowed it to happen. But why did she allow it to happen? It's because I wasn't her husband. I wasn't who she married.
Right.
And I'm not now I'm not blaming me. I'm saying then I did. Obviously, we weren't meant to be together.
So
and that's why
that's where you at with it now. You just feel like it was not because of something that, well, the things that you did, but it's because you guys weren't meant to be together.
I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's because, like, it would have eventually happened if I would have even if I would have done all of those things and I fixed all those things before when we first had the conversation, but it was only one conversation. If I would have fixed it then, we may be still together, but I don't think it just wasn't right. I'm at a point right now. It's just like, I know she wasn't right for me because I'm just so much different as a person. But the biggest thing that was so hard about divorce and like how you get over it, and I don't really know how you get over it, but I know I went through, and you were there, and so was TJ. I was talking about it all the freaking time about like how this feels and like, do you think there's a chance that we can get back together? And I'm over here. not trying to fix me. I'm worried about that situation, and I'm not letting God in my life and faith, and I'm not doing things to better myself. I'm just sitting here sulking and like, what happened? And like, we're divorced now, so like, why am I not trying to grow? And
to be honest, because of how marriage is set up, I feel like first of all, when you are married and God is in the center, it's always gonna be hard. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel now. When God isn't in the center,
yeah,
because you don't have
facts.
anything to, you don't have nothing to lean on. You don't have nothing to be like, take all of this. I can't carry it. It's too much.
Right.
You don't have a space for that. So when you're going through your lowest times or your darkest times, or like when you said you just left and started driving and didn't care, you don't. God, He was there, but you weren't utilizing Him. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have that foundation.
Indeed
and because the marriage didn't have the foundation, it was easier to break. But on another note, I always say this, like, I don't think it was all your fault, because the things that you did, and this is just me being a married woman, the things that you did in that relationship was not grounds for divorce. Even if, let's say, 5 years went by and you weren't dating like you should have been, you weren't attentive as you should have been, still in all, those are things that can be worked on. Those are things that could be like, okay, listen, we have to fix this. And long as you were okay and willing to fix it, or at least try, I feel like it's worth fighting for when you are married. Now, if you were boyfriend and girlfriend, okay, I get it. Like, I'm gonna just go ahead and cheat. But, you know, the thing about women is when we cheat, if a woman cheats, it's way more emotional.
100%.
And it's way more,
There's so many more steps that's involved with
and
guys.
when men, like, sometimes you guys, like, men can cheat and not even know the girl's name.
100%.
But when a woman steps out, that takes time and, you know what I mean, emotions and things are involved with that. So I do feel like, you know, you have to hold her accountable for building something else outside of the relationship without you when you guys were at your toughest time. Because if you're at your tough, you're in the wilderness of your relationship, that's not the time to add another person. Because when you add that other person, you might as well call it quits there before it even happens. Because once you get to the cheating, the actual, like, cheating, it's already done.
100%.
So, you know.
To be honest with you, though, there were so many red flags.
You seen them.
I saw them. I tried to ignore them because, like, I try to see the good in people. And she even told me multiple times, she's like, I don't know why you're still with me. And I'm like, because I see the angel inside of you, not the demon that comes out every now and then. And so usually the demon would come out when drinking was involved, when going out. Not necessarily just drinking in the house, but it was like just going out and having fun with their friends. And then there was one time that it was when we first moved here. I'm the type of person that if you want to go out, go out, have fun. Like, you have your life, I have my life, and then we have our life together. So if you want to go out and have fun, drink, well, it's fun. Like, we're still young. Go out and do your thing. So she did, and she got drunk as crap. It was like I was in bed, and I had my, like, underwear on and everything, you know, when you're just laying in bed, and then I hear a knock at the door. I'm like, what the heck is that? And I open the door, and there's an Uber driver standing there with my wife on the ground, just like, or on her knees. Just like, and just like mumbling, crazy drunk. He's like, man, like, you got to get her, man. Like, she can't even walk. And she was just laughing and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, there's just really low moments like that. And I'm just like, and then she would say these certain things where, like, underhanded remarks. She's like, I don't need you. She threatened to take off her ring one time, multiple times in North Carolina. This is one of the biggest red flags. This is one in the beginning when I should have really known. We went to an NC State game. It was Halloween, and a football game. And then we start drinking. Obviously, it's a tailgate, so you drink at a football game. And then it's fine. We go in, and everything's cool. She's like, oh, I left my keys. Like, I don't know where my keys are. And I'm like, cool, halftime. Go get your keys. I'm going to stay here. She doesn't come back until 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Drunk. Can't even, like, stand, like, wobbling. Can't even stand up. And I'm like, Okay, well, I'm gonna still watch the game. She's drunk. I mean, it's normal. Like, unfortunately, she's in college, and that's what happens. So we go walk into her car, and she's like, "Where's my keys?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Well, we looked, and we couldn't find them. So I'm like, "I'll call your mom because we don't have a way to get home." Mm-hmm. Call her mom, and she's like, "Screw you! Why are you calling my mom? You're such a piece of shit. Fuck you!" And like, my buddy is with us.
That's so embarrassing.
Yeah, and then she's like saying this, and like, that's the ultimate sign of disrespect. Saying it in front of your
like
best
you're a
friends.
man.
I'm sorry, can I cuss on here? I didn't really mean.
I mean, no, it's fine.
Okay, I won't do it again. I apologize. I just totally sorry. That's what she said. But and then she's like holding on to him, and he is like, "Dude, I don't know what's going on." And so I'm in my head, I'm like, "She's just drunk, whatever, and it's gonna go away." And it was just so mad. She's saying this in front of my friends, and then her mom finally comes, drops us off at her house. I get in my car. I don't even say bye. I'm just pissed. And I go to the gym because the gym is 2 minutes away from where she lives. And so all my buddies are there and like they're hanging out. And I'm like, man, you can't believe what just happened, blah, blah. And then I'm outside. I don't know why I'm outside at this point after that. She lives 2 miles away. Mm-hmm. She walked from her house.
No way.
To the gym.
Drunk.
This is her parents' house. So.
Okay. But still, like,
right.
wild.
I don't know why her parents let her out, how that happened. And she's screaming at me, like, in the parking lot. There's like a Lowe's Foods and like a grocery store, and then here's the gym. And she's screaming. She's like, "Fuck you! Why would you do that? Like, I don't like you anymore. I'm gonna like hit up my guy friends. Like, I don't need you." And like, again, all of my friends are around. I'm like, and it's at my job where I'm the manager.
Super embarrassing.
I'm like, just go home. And she just kept saying, "No, screw you." And everybody was telling her to calm down. And she was just like, "I'm about to call my guy friend right now." And I'm like...
And you're engaged at that point?
No, this was actually in the very beginning of our relationship. This is like the first 3 months.
So the flag... Oh, so she showed you who she was.
She did.
And you didn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a full transparency, like, "Oh, I cheated on you," or whatever. That one was just like really mean. I don't know what she did for 2 quarters. That was different. And
yeah, that would like stay stuck in my mind. Like,
it gets worse. I don't know if I told you this one. This is why my head, not anymore, but was so messed up for such a long time after the divorce. Because I saw all these red flags, and I stayed, and then she obviously ends up leaving, and like I so messed up in relationships after that. Not now, but this was probably 8 months or so before she actually said that she wanted a divorce. Mm-hmm. This is a clear one, and I'm like, So again, she wants to go out with her friends. She's at this point a paralegal, and so she has lawyer friends, and they go out downtown. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "You know what? That's fine. I don't really know your lawyer friends like that. You go have fun with them. I'm just going to stay at home. I'm going to watch the game." She's like, "Okay, cool." So she doesn't come home that night, but she has this friend that I know who she is, and she's like, "I'm just a little too drunk. It's a little too late. I'm just going to stay with her." I'm like, "All right, cool. I'll see you tomorrow morning." She comes home the next morning, sleeps all day because obviously she's hungover. And then everything is fine. 2 weeks later, maybe a week later, we're sitting in bed. She's like, starts crying. I'm like, uh-oh. Did I tell you this one?
No.
This is, you're going to be like, "That's red flag. You should have been out." 100%. She's like, "You know, when I told you I was at my friend's house, I was not. I ended up on some dude's couch, blacked out drunk."
No way.
Not even joking. It gets worse. She said she took a pregnancy test because she didn't know.
Oh!
Because she didn't know if anything happened.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Not even lying. Like, that was...
So, like, this behavior that she has with drinking, like, it never stops.
It's not that she always did it. I'm not saying that.
But it was
when
like...
it happened,
Yeah.
that's when it happened. I'm not saying... Because she doesn't have that problem.
But why was she taking her pregnancy test if she just blacked out?
Girls know when something happens there. Just saying.
She might as well just said, hey, I was with a guy, had sex with him, and stayed the night.
Yeah, I wish she would have. I mean, I should have just took it
That's
as that
wild.
anyway. Just like that.
Right there, you should have knew what you was dealing with.
I should have left.
You should have.
I should have called it. Like, we didn't have kids. We
Yeah.
had a dog and 2 cats at that moment. I was just so... It was my only relationship ever. I'm just like, I gotta let... This has to work. And so... It obviously didn't. But I guess my main point, too, what I want to get to with how you get past all this, like, I'm
like
telling you everything that happened.
Right, like the picking up the pieces part. Like, when did that start, and when did you start to realize, like, your own personal worth and, you know what I mean, who you are as a person without
I will tell
that
you,
part
it
of the
took
relationship?
me to... I got to... It was right around my birthday of last year. Last year. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel lost. Mm-hmm. I don't have a friend group anymore. I had you guys, but like I just felt just off in general. And then I was just like, I have to make a decision. Like, I just feel lonely. And at that point in time, I was like, I need to make a decision to move back to North Carolina. I need to see my family, and like maybe that's going to help me. And when I did that, the gym I was working at, they're like, well, we don't want you to go, but like I understand, like we're here for you, we'll support you. And at that point, I was going to that church, and found a good pastor, found a good group of like people that I can go to church with and I can trust. I like my pastor. My pastor now is my friend.
Yeah.
I talk to him 2-3 times a week, and I had already made up my mind, but he's like, hey, before you go, can I sit down and talk with you? I'm like, yeah. And he let me spew out my beans about why I felt like I needed to go. And at that time, I really didn't know what I wanted, but I'm like, maybe this will be something that's going to help me. And he's like, you know what I think? I think you're running away from your problems.
Right on the nail.
And he said more than that, but basically that was it. And he's like, obviously you can do what you want to do, but I think you have a good church here. You have a good group of friends. You have people who really care for you here. Don't leave that, because you may never get it again. And he was like, but you're going to make the decision to do what you need to do, what you think is what's best for you. And at that point, which was weird because like they threw a party for me, and now I'm like hanging out with people and like I'm having fun. Like you remember me when I was at the gym where we met at?
Yeah.
I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was that again. But I'd already made the decision to leave. And then this is crazy, because God speaks to you in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I was driving into North Carolina. I get there, and I'm like, this ain't it. He was right. I'm running away from my problems.
As soon as you got there.
As soon as I drove in, and I'm like, this is not it. And I'd already made my bed, and I'm like, I got to do it. And I was already planning on changing my career anyway. And I get there, staying with my sister until I found a job. I'm going to bring this relationship thing into this because I feel like it's going to tie into how you get over things.
Right, like if you think of it now and it was someone else going through this situation, like what tools would you give that person?
Right.
You know what I mean? To like pick up the pieces after divorce, because that's tough. You know what I mean? Like that's really tough to do.
And here's where I think things kind of changed for me in a sense. I was in a very, very dark place. And you know how God sends you people in your life in times where you really need that person?
Yeah.
God sent this person to me. This is like a freaking angel that fell from heaven. It was insane. I met her when I was here, and she had a boyfriend at the time, but she knew that my plan was to come back. And she randomly one day, I was just feeling like crap, reached out to me, and she's like, hey, when you coming back? I'm like, she doesn't have a boyfriend anymore. This is awesome.
So is that what makes you think that God sent you that person?
No, because of the way how spiritual our conversations were, how she kind of led me back to good. But I felt like in that moment, I needed her because I was in such just a bad place, and she made me so much happier. Like, we talked every day, FaceTime, texted, everything that you can possibly think of. And
I will say this though before you finish. You do have to realize when you are in that type of spiritual battle where like things get dark or like things start to feel like hopeless in a sense, you have to be mindful that, God will send you people when you need it. But you got to realize too, it's two people fighting for you. The enemy will as well.
Right.
And he will wrap it up and make it look pretty and make you feel like it is God sent. But sometimes it may or may not be, and you have to have that discernment to know, like, is this the person, for me right now, or is this person here to help me heal, or is this person not,
I'm saying just in that moment, I needed her for what she was sent there for me. Like, she helped me love again, figure out how to love again, because
Right.
I took all the things from my last relationship where I knew I was wrong and that I needed to fix, and I started doing these things with that girl, and then I pulled back because I'm in this deep rabbit hole, and I don't want you to I don't want to bring you down, because I was in a very, very bad spot. Like, I felt like she was perfect for me. It's someone I've always been like looking to date. Had checked all the boxes for me.
All the boxes.
All of them. And I'm like, I've never done this. I had the nerve to say, I can't talk to you no more. And we stopped talking. And not to say that she thought it was okay or I thought it was okay. It's just I had to do it at that time because I felt like I was suicidal, unfortunately. I was in a very deep and dark place. And like we were talking about last weekend, when did you know when like your coming to Jesus moment? One night, and basically right after I stopped talking to this girl, I knew I made a stupid decision. It was dumb, but I did it, and I made my bed, so I'm gonna go with this decision. But I was in this really dark moment where I was really trying to kill myself with the bottle. I downed a whole bottle of liquor, and I'm like, I'm ready to go.
Jesus.
And I'm sitting in my living room, and I'm just like, I don't know what. It's hard to explain it, but like I literally just stood up and just started screaming. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like I'm not gonna let a girl and what that situation, I'm not gonna let that kill me like that. Like,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. And God just like, come with me. I got you. The next day, I was fine.
Without connecting like all of the feelings and everything, like how is your heart like grounded today?
I think today is in the best place it's literally ever been. Like, even before my ex. Like, or even when I was with my ex, it's better now than it was with him. Like, at that point. Because I truly didn't know how to love. Being my first relationship, I didn't know what I had to do. Yes, we could have worked things out, but like I don't think my heart was in a good place to where I can then show the love the right way to someone. And so now that I've been through that, I've been through the darkest valleys, like I can now, everything, this seems weird to say, but everything just seems bright around me. Like I'm always happy now. I'm here. I'm going to church. I have good friends. I'm exercising again. I lost 30 pounds since I've been back, which is awesome. Crazy.
I can't believe you even gained 30 pounds. That's wild.
It was bad. I was fat. But yeah, I thought my heart is in a very, very good place.
It shifted completely.
100%.
I can see it though. I can see that your heart has shifted to a place where it's like, now I need to work on me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
There's no more like screw you moments in females.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that anymore.
That's good.
Yeah, so I'm actually able to, if it comes my way, my heart, I feel like I can give 100% to someone.
Yeah, and it's going to be so much more smoother, easier, and when the hard times do come, you'll know how to deal with them. Something that I read recently, because I've been doing a lot of reading, and basically what they were saying is that you need the times in the wilderness so that you can unlock doors that you would have never unlocked had you not gone through those hardships. So had you not gone through any of those hardships, those doors wouldn't be unlocked for you. Had you not gone through the toughest times, those things wouldn't be unlocked for you. You know what I mean? I think that God opens up certain doors once you've reached a certain level.
But that's something that you have to come to the realization.
Yeah.
I used to think of it that was a waste of time. I don't think that anymore. It was a learning experience.
Because when you're going through it,
right, you're just like, it's terrible.
It's like, what's happening?
Right, and even this last one, it's like, even though it was technically a year that we've been talking, it's not a waste of time. Like, you are learning things along the way, but you have to want to learn. You can't just sit there and be like, no, screw you, no, screw you, no, screw you. It's your fault, and like never fix anything. Listen to God, put your faith in Him, and then everything else will follow. You can't just put your faith in Him and not do work on yourself. Like, you still have to work on yourself.
Oh, because faith without works is dead. You have to.
Some people say that though. They say you have faith in God, but like you don't do anything. Like, you don't go to church. Not to say you need to go to church to believe in God and have a relationship with Him, but
it's the community part, though. He wants you to worship and fellowship with people. You know what I mean? So if you're going through something and you tell TJ about it, I could pray for you. We could pray for you. Our household could still cover you while you're going through those things. Yeah. But if you don't have that community, it's not there. So I love church. I think it's essential.
I think it's funny because when you were gone in New York or wherever you were, and then TJ, he noticed that I posted something that I was going to church. He's like, yo, what church you go to? And I ended up going to y'all's church. And like before, our relationship wasn't anything near religious at all.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like now we're talking about like how I was saved and like what my relationship is with God, what yours is with God, and like how it's making you want to create this podcast, like how we spoke to you to make you want to do this podcast. Like, we would have never had this conversation 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
It's all about evolving.
Even a year ago. Yeah, it's crazy, like how you went from where you were to where you are now. Not that you were in a bad place. It's just like, you know now that this is something that's going to be very helpful for a lot of people, and especially this podcast with relationships, because a lot of people have relationship problems. Because most people want to be in a relationship where they have a family, or their family is just them together. So,
takes a lot of work. When they're going through things, they want to see like, oh my God, someone else is going through that same season I'm in. Right. Because you may be in a season and you may be like, oh my God, I'm never getting out of this. Like, I'm never getting out this season. But then you hear someone else like, guess what? This is a tunnel. Right. It's light at the end. You know what I mean?
All it takes is one.
It takes one person.
That's it.
One person. That's it. So yeah, that's good. Definitely, I think that the tough times are needed because when the good times come, you appreciate it more. You know?
You're right.
All right, so we'll just end it here.
That's it.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.